So it's myself and Sharon, we work together on this data management planning in HRV. So I'm not entirely sure how familiar you are with data management. I have a video that we are ready to show if you want, or if you have a specific question, or we can start with the video and then continue then with some questions.
Yeah, I'm happy to have to go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'll share the screen and see if it works. We tried before. What is my video now? Sorry, just have to go back to the main screen. To anything. Please move to your next session. Okay, so then I'll share. Okay, so that's the video start. I think the message was quite clear. Oh, sorry, I have to stop the video.
AI-powered creative assistant. It's pretty neat.
Okay, so I don't know, do you have any experience with data management planning, or do you have any question for us?
I suppose, is there like a standard amongst health researcher? You know how you'd have like, I'm not a researcher, you know, I'm on the admin side, but is there a standard that researchers would tend to use that's, you know, kind of common across all universities?
Yeah, so we have a data management planning template that has been used so far, and is based on the template of Science Europe. So it's a group of different funders around Europe as gave basically some guidelines, and so we organize a template around those guidelines. At the moment, we're using that. And then we appreciate any feedback we receive, and we usually engage with researchers that have been using so far the template, or data stewards in the institution, to basically improve the template. So we started during a pilot a few years ago with two specific schemes between 2018 and 2019, and then since 2020 we've been using, and the first scheme we've been using has been the COVID-19 awards.
Okay.
So just to explain how it works at the moment, so what we do, so we don't ask data management plans during the application process. We know that there is quite a lot of burden to researchers to prepare an application, can take quite a long time. And we know that unfortunately, many of these people will not be funded. So it will be too much to ask, although this is probably the right time when you actually have to prepare a data management plan. So what we ask in the application form, it's an outline of some of the section that will be then addressed in the full management plan. And what we advise researchers to do is to engage already with the data manager, data stewards in the institution. There are not many, but there are a few people in each institution, at least the main HEIs. So to engage already with these people to basically come up with the best plan, even at application stage. So address some of those sections that we ask you to address. And then as well, you can, there are costs eligible that you can apply for in the application or in the grant if you're successful. So that's the reason the early engagement is definitely really recommended. And then if you are awarded, then you will have the period of contract negotiation. That will be when is a good time already to go back to your data manager and basically start to expand in the plan. And also is a time where you can negotiate a bit more the budget before contract. That doesn't mean that you don't have any flexibility to rebudget during the awards, but it's a good opportunity to relook, is the one that I apply for data management cost, is it a good plan and a good cost? And just to be clear, we are working with other international funders, with other experts, because we are not entirely sure about the costing. How much does it cost really to properly manage, to cost properly in the application, and also what's the best way to break down costs and so on. So we are looking what is the best way to facilitate the researchers. So we're learning along the way together with the researchers. So then at that point, you are going to, already in the application and the grant, you're going to have one of the first deliverable will be to complete a data management plan and to have a certification of completion with the host institution. Will be the data manager, will sign off. And it's not really based on the quality. We know that it's a work in progress. It's mainly that you have engaged with the proper expertise in your institution. And at that point will be basically submitted to the HRV. And HRV is working with a company in England to provide proper support, better support to the institution. I don't know if maybe Sharon, you want to talk about a bit more about this?
Yeah, so Johnny, we're currently working with the Digital Curation Centre in the UK, and they're hosting the DMP template at the moment. So we are working on a very customized HRV platform here. We're very close to signing the contract. So all HRV funded researchers would then have the opportunity to work on their own DMP templates within that platform. So we're just working on various training programs for both HRV staff as well as the researchers across various host institutions within Ireland, you know, to work on the template. So it's like Annalisa had mentioned, it's a work in progress. And I guess this only began last year when this has been made mandatory for all researchers to submit DMPs as a part of their projects. So yeah, we received a number of DMPs so far from the COVID-19 awards. A lot of work has been gone into this since the last year. And we are conducting a review at the moment where international experts are going through DMPs and giving their feedback. So we'll probably put a paper together in November or end of the year, you know, to maybe also provide feedback to the researchers as well as PIs regarding what needs to be, you know, updated in terms of the whole process. But there is good, I guess there's good interaction between the researchers as well as the host institutional data managers as well as the data stewards, because now that this has been made mandatory, now we see a lot of interaction between all of us, which is good. I think we're one of the leading bodies in Ireland promoting DMPs, which is good.
And can I ask, was it always the intention to have a bespoke HRV platform, or was that something that kind of came back through the feedback since the pilot, you know, or was?
Yeah, the idea was, I guess, initially, correct me if I'm wrong, Annalisa, there were a couple of the leaders, you know, including universities like UCD and I think the IRC as well, the Irish Research Council, who were interested to be a part of this, you know, plan. But in the end, we just are kicking this process ourselves. So it'll be HRV bespoke infrastructure, like you mentioned, but hopefully we'll have partners joining us in the next few years. But this is a test. It's you know, it's probably a 2-year initial contract. We'll see how it goes, and you know how many DMPs will get submitted to HRV and maybe expand from then on.
Yeah, I mean, ideally it would be nice to have a national approach in Ireland where all the funders use the same platform or at least the same template. So the researchers that apply for funding to different funders will use a very similar template. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if there are different remits in research, there might be additional question, but that at least the bulk of the template is the same. So what we want to do is really to facilitate the research community. We don't want to add more burden, and we don't want the research to become expert in data management. So that should be people, support people in university. In some cases, it would be in the same team, because if it's a team that works really, it's a data intensive project or few data intensive project, they would need probably data managers in their institutions or in their groups. So the idea is to work with people that can advise you in how to put in place it's not the idea of you have to have a good data management plan. It's actually to facilitate your research. So if you have a plan in place, if you have talked with, so it's, you know about the legal constraints, you know the challenges, you know the go-to person in case of problems, you know where to store your data. It's not just about the publication anymore, it's about the preservation of the data. Not every data set needs to be preserved. There is also the understanding kind of the acknowledgement that some data are not going to be preserved for life, but is that you have a plan in place, and that really is to facilitate then data discoverability and data sharing. So it's really the goal is not really having DMP. It's probably what can help you to have the data that are fair and possibly open as well. But we know that for health research, openness is not a must. So I don't know if you have know the difference as well from between fair and open.
Can I just give some feedback, I guess, a positive feedback in that? So I'm a postdoctoral researcher, an early career researcher in the applied research into policy and practice scheme.
Oh yes, yes. Remember
so I guess I had no experience of data management planning. I was coming from working in a big department to now running my own project, and having met with UCD, with the expert Jenny O'Neill in UCD, and I didn't know whether I was had to submit a data management plan or not to the HRB. I still don't know if it is mandatory, but I've worked.
No, it wasn't at the time. No.
Yeah, but I've worked anyway to prepare one with her, because I'm just starting data collection, and I didn't want to collect any data before knowing what, that I was making sure it was going to be fair. So I've learned a huge amount from doing it, from just about data as like I'm a physiotherapist by background, I have some quantitative and qualitative experience, but actually it's such a specialist, field, knowing the different components of it. And it's really changed like how I view, like I always had saved my code, had saved things, but it's made me pick apart each part of my project and think, okay, like I can't share all of it because it's either not ethical to share, it's not anonymizable or whatever, or it's not my data. But I'm trying to get to the point where I can share my code, so that if somebody gets the same file, if somebody can apply and get the same file that I did, that my code can just be run on that file. So it's good making me think at that level. I guess the one question I had was around the budget and the costs. So I have a budget to use to make my data fair. But having talked to UCD, they say that there isn't, like I said, who would I hire to do this work? I have like a week's worth of money for somebody to do. And they say, well, they exist, the people with those expertise exist in theory, but not in practice. So it's kind of confusing for me to know
what to do next.
Where can I, what is that? What do I use that money for now, really? Do you know what I mean, I know obviously I should have thought about this more, but I'm learning. I'm at
and a lot
early career stage, and I think I'm engaging with it in the way that I'm supposed to. But now I'm looking at that money going, okay, well, how can I use it for that intended purpose when those people don't really exist, or when those people
I think
with that
the best way,
really
and we can talk, definitely we can follow up, and that's great to hear about your positive comments, because I think it would be good for HRB to compile some of the stories of people that have good and bad experiences to show maybe the value. But I think what I basically learned in the last few years is what the best things to make your
your next session
is actually make the metadata fair, so that at least you have about the information about the data is fair. Then even if the data is not fair, is not key. But that's something we can follow up. Maybe with Sharon and myself, that would be great, just because we are short of time.
Absolutely. No, it was more just the cost. It was more the budget. Because I feel I understand the other stuff, but I'm like, well, it feels like I'm going to just be doing the work myself. So, which is fine, but I have the budget, so I'm just interested in where other people are using that money, because it is in the budget. It was one of the recommendations to have the money in the budget. So I'd be interested to know how other people are using the funds.
That's great. No, we can definitely follow up. Also, maybe we talk also with UCD. Is it Jenny O'Neill you're talking?
Yeah. No, she's very like really, really good. But I just, in terms of her advice, she was like,
maybe we can set up a meeting or something.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much for joining the session. I hope it was useful, and I'll see you later in the next session. Bye.